Welcome to another edition of The Walking Dead.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of EPL on Pub.
Class is in session, hitting the books on Pub Sports.
This is another exciting edition of the main event on Talking Ant.
Welcome to the good, the bad, and the money on Pub Sports Radio. I'm your host, Sharpie's Bets, and on this show, we attack NFL prize picks and props. We start with the get right spot, then great spots, and then we head straight into the game of the day. And of course, we bring in on the man with the plan, Billy Briz, to bring you his favorite early spots on this Week 10 slate. And then we wrap it up with Big Show Picks Play of the Day. So sit back, pull out your notebook, and let's get to the money. This show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Go over to the App Store or online and use promo code PUBSPORTS. Get a match deposit on your first deposit up to $100, minimum of $25. If you like the content you're hearing, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, and let's get to it. The get right spot of the day is across the pond with the Seattle Seahawks and the Tampa Bay Bucks. It's not really across the pond. We go into fucking Germany. Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Well, the total is set at 44.5, and the Bucks are a 2.5-point favorite. We all know the issues with the Bucks have been, and I get it, but they're still a stone throw away from winning their division, and this is the time of year Brady turns it on. I'm not saying he's the old Brady, but I still got to go off this man's track record. And second half of the seasons has always been more important than the first half, and that's why we start with Tom Brady. His pass yards over 275.5. We are now in Week 10, so there's lots of numbers to look at, which makes it a lot easier for us to be playing our spots and us to be making money. Brady this year has gone up versus 5 teams who are 16th ranked versus pass defense or worse. He has 5-1-0 losses to this number, averaging 326 yards in this spot. Well, look what we have here. A Seahawks team who is 21st versus the pass. Sign me up for a guy who's hitting at 100% and over 45 yards in this situation. To me, that's a no-brainer, and that brings us into his playmakers. And let's start with the big chunk guy on this team, Mike Evans, receiving yards over 67.5. He has been limited in practices, but he said he is good to go for Munich, and that's good enough for me. Mike Evans has seen 11-plus targets in 3 straight games while averaging 14 yards a catch on the season. In the games versus bottom 15 pass defenses, he has 4 wins, 1 loss, with the 1 loss being the Ramsey treatment. Evans is averaging 88.6 yards a game in these spots, so you're giving me a 20-yard cushion on a prop that's hitting at 80%. Big day coming. Bonus, guys, Evans has not scored a TD in 5 games. I wouldn't be surprised if he sees the end zone twice, so maybe a little sprinkle on that. 2 touchdowns for this man. He should eat in this spot. Now let's talk about the 1B in this offense, with Evans being the 1A. Chris Godwin. They did not have his reception, so I had to improvise and use his fantasy points over 15.5. But no, his receptions will be at 6.5, and that's where I like it. Godwin has looked as healthy as ever the last few weeks. We've talked about him week in and week out, and you can tell by the amount of targets this man sees. Double-digit targets in 5 of his last 6 games, with nothing less than 6 catches in those games. I expect a big day in this offense for the 2 key cogs to eat. And speaking of eating, it's about time this Bucks get to feast on Geno Smith. So I'm looking at the Bucks defense sacks over 2.5. It's pretty simple. Geno Smith has been sacked 2 times or more in every game this year, and I expect the Bucks to have the lead, which will lead to more dropbacks from Geno, which leads to us eating. Now let's get into great spots of Week 10, and we're going to start where we picked off last time. And let's talk about Greg Dulcich fantasy score over 10. Before we talk about that fantasy score over 10, do me a favor, smash the like button if you like what you're hearing. Go on my page, hit the share, hit the retweet if you want to do us a solid one. I appreciate it. Now I'm going to do you 4 solid ones and give you 4 props that are going to hit this week. Greg Dulcich's fantasy score over 10. This is pretty simple. Dulcich has played 3 games, and in those 3 games, he scored more than 10 fantasy points in every game. Week by week, Russell Wilson is going to get more and more comfortable with this beast, and we have to take advantage while we can. And that goes into the spot where we're going to talk about next. This is just What type of number? Sure, that ain't supposed to be 19.5. Let's talk about David Montgomery's fantasy score over 9.5. Can somebody tell me why this is so low? I know Herbert has been more involved in this offense, but Montgomery is still the bell cow with 12 or more carries in 5 straight games while scoring 2 touchdowns in 2 of those 5 games. He has also been a part of the passing game with only 1 time this year where he was held without a catch. This is just off, period. And now he gets the Lions. The Lions? The Lions? Come on, man. The Lions are 32nd in total yards allowed, 31st versus the Russian, 32nd in points allowed. Montgomery should cast this by the half, in my opinion. 9.5 is stupid, and I will be on me some Montgomery this week. And then this leads us into another spot where this just hasn't adjusted yet because this man was just traded. And it's the man that will end the shows, probably one of his favorite players that I'm going to talk about today. And he's probably not so happy that he left the Lions, but I know he's happy that he's got a quarterback like Kirk Cousins who looks for the tight end. Let's talk about it. Man, oh man, am I happy for this man. Finally, Hockenson has a QB that looks for his tight end, and they have a big play wide receiver where you have to let Hockenson roam. Do you not remember how much Kirk Cousins looked for Rudolph in the end zone? This man right here, this is Rudolph on crack. He's a top 5 tight end in the league in the right offense, and now he's in the right offense. First game with the Vikings, he's seen 9 targets, caught 9 balls, and had 70 yards. Oh, only 16 fantasy points without even seeing the end zone. Like I said, if you go back through the years and you know Kirk Cousins, he likes his tight ends in the end zone. You've got to cover Justin Jefferson. Nah. This is off, guys. I expect within the next few weeks, this to be near that 14-point range. We're going to start seeing the real Hutchinson coming out. There's too many ways that he can hit his fantasy score here, so that's why I got to take the fantasy score. Taking the fact that the Bills defense does not allow stuff over the top, which will lead to more Hockenson in the middle of the field, guys. So that brings us to our last great spot of the day. And it happens to be my fantasy running back, just the number 1 fantasy running back in PPR formats. Yeah, Saquon motherfucking Barkley. And we're going to look at his fantasy score over 19.5. Now, I know I can look at his rushing receiving, but let's just be frank. The Texans are bad, with bad being an understatement. 31st in total yards allowed while giving up 180 yards a game on the ground. Let me say that again. 180 yards a game on the ground. Saquon is the bell cow and have been seeing bell cow type work. 3 straight games with 20 plus carries and a touchdown in 5 of 8 games played this year. He's also a giant piece of this passing game with nothing less than 2 catches a game. So we get a guy who's going to get 20 plus carries, at least 2 catches, and we know he's going to get into the end zone. Yeah, we just got to look at his fantasy score over on this and not be cute. And this leads us into the game of the day. But the day is over. We started in the first game. Now we're going to finish in the last. Sunday Night Football. The LA Chargers at San Francisco 49ers, where the total is set at 45.5, and the 49ers are a touchdown favorite. First one up. And it's not available yet on Prize Picks, but we have to talk about them. It's the 49ers, and what do we do versus this team versus the 49ers? Answer me. Question time. All right. Well, if you don't know, here you motherfucking go. We attack them with tight ends. Gerald Everett's receptions or fantasy score over however you want it, Poppy. Just kidding. I'm joking, Poppy. No. Calm down. Well, let's talk. Everett versus the 49ers. Any team who has targeted their tight end more than 4 times has smashed their prop. The only issue is the 49ers haven't seen too many offenses that feature the tight end. Well, let me tell you, Herbert is always going to his tight ends with or without Allen. And this goes back through the year of last year being there, not just with Everett being here now. Proof is in the numbers. Everett has been targeted 4 times or more in 7 of 8 games this year, with his average targets being 6.6 a game, with 3 straight games with 7 or more targets. It's simple. We get the targets we need to cash. Damn. That simple, guys. So look at Gerald Everett. Look at a way to put him in your prize picks. Look at a way to make some money off of him. That if you get the targets, you will eat versus these linebackers. Now let's talk about Mega Man, aka Austin Eckler. I want his reception yards, but it was not available, so I pulled up his rush yards. So let's just be clear. I want his receiving yards or his receptions, but this is the logo I had to pull up. So is what it is. But it's been a reoccurring nightmare with my Chargers rushing attack. We are last in the league. I don't expect shit to change. Chargers can't run. 49ers can't stop the run. Well, Eckler is one of the best receiving running backs in the league with nothing less than 4 catches a game, averaging 7.5 catches a game. Yeah, I said over 7 catches a game from a running back. This is freaking disgusting. In his last 5 games, he has had 2 or more touchdowns. In 4 of 5 games, of the 4 of his last 5 games, he's had 4 receiving touchdowns. Yeah, like I said, they know they can't run the ball. They're going to use the screen game as they have been all year. Let's jump on Mega Man some which way, receptions or receiving yards. Now let's talk the other side of the ball before we get to Billy Briz and my guy Big Show picks. Brandon Ayuk's receiving yards over 50.5. This just seems off. 4 straight games with 51 yards or more while being targeted double digits 2 of his last 4 games. With so many weapons, McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, you tend to forget about Mr. Ayuk, who just keeps eating. Ayuk has been targeted 55 times this year with only 2 drops, averaging 4.75 targets a game and 12.7 yards a catch. I think we have a chance of hitting the big play and that we have a chance of cashing this by the half. And that brings us to the last spot of the day. And that's the great white hope himself. Yeah, I just said that. Yeah, how are we going to attack these Chargers with the best thing since LaDainian Tomlinson? And that's Christian McCaffrey. And let's just keep it simple. Let's just take his fantasy score over 23.5. In McCaffrey's first full game as a starter, he accounted for 149 yards, where pulling a LaDainian Tomlinson. Threw, ran, and caught a touchdown. This has not been done since 2005, and it's been done less than 5 times in the history of the NFL. Let's just not be like, we want McCaffrey because of what he did last week. Nah, guys, we are way better than that on this show. In his second start as a bell cow, he gets the Chargers defense that allows the second most fantasy points in all of NFL to the running back position. And taken 2 weeks ago before the bye week, he did all this without Deebo Samuel in the lineup. Deebo Samuel has logged a full practice and is considered ready to fucking go. This 49ers offense is just going to be disgustingly fun to watch and make money. McCaffrey eats versus the Chargers Sunday. Mark my words. Well, enough about me. Let's get to someone who is at the top of the food chain when it comes to NFL props. And he happens to be my friend, Billy Briz, my guy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. A little bit of a burn yesterday, but we're here back on the grind.
Grinding, bro. That's what happens when you bet all those dang sports. Hopefully you're leaving soccer alone with basketball going on.
Yes. I have been leaving soccer alone. Have not bet a soccer game in a very long time, but the World Cup is around the corner.
That's different. That's different. That's the World fucking Cup, eh? Well, let's talk football. And your first spot is in the Browns game where the total is set at 49. Where are you looking at attacking?
How many times have you seen it, man? This is one of the best game environments on the card, man. The Dolphins defense sucks. Cooper's in a great matchup versus the Dolphins, who are allowing an average of 135 receiving yards to wide receivers over the last 4 weeks. Last year, Cooper, when he played up against Xavier Howard, 6 catches for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think Amari Cooper is going to eat in this one. Over 61.5 receiving yards. Way too low. Cooper's going to eat.
Last I checked, too, is Xavier Howard is in the bottom 20 ranked cornerbacks right now in all of fucking football. So he ain't been doing his job. He's way getting too much money for getting roasted. And, yeah, Cooper should cash, bro. That's a really good spot. Let's talk about the second spot for my guy. It's in the Bears and Detroit game where this total over here is set at 48.5. What side of the ball are you looking to attack?
I'll tell you why David Montgomery's fantasy score so low. Because there's a guy. He's the new prophecy. Justin Fields over 19 and a half fantasy score. He's in a great spot here against the fucking Lions, the Detroit Lions. You're lying to me. The Lions, who allow the third most fantasy points per game to the quarterback position and the second most rushing yards per game to the QB position. Even though Fields isn't a big passing threat, he has the ability to run for a lot of yards and score. And that fantasy score is way too low. He's gone over this total in 3 weeks in a row. And I think Fields goes over one more time, man. Fields is legit for fantasy, not in real life.
Not in real life. Hey, though, their offense is looking better, and they traded for Claypool, targeted him the first half, and never looked at him again. The third spot my guy is going to look at is in a game I've already covered the totals inside. We're going to go right back to that Sunday night game, and it happens to be somebody I may or may not have talked about. Who you looking at?
Yeah, man, I'm on the other side of the ball, man. I got to show some love to my guy, Austin Eckler, man. Eckler's been matchup proof this season with one of the most consistent workloads for running backs. Eckler's on pace to set a NFL single season record for targets and receptions, and this bodes well here against the 49ers. Keenan Allen's been a little bit banged up. They still got Mike Williams out. Austin Eckler's been the number one receiver, man. I got burnt last week going down Gerald Everett train thinking, Everett's going to be the number one guy. They ain't got nobody. Maybe Austin Eckler's the guy. I mean, he's been the guy, and I think he'll continue being the guy. And he's been scoring a lot of touchdowns, and he led last year in primetime game touchdowns. So I think Austin Eckler is going to find the back of the end zone and go over that 23 fantasy score.
Philly with them stats out of left field. Prime time touchdowns, man. And if you look at his box score, it's like touchdowns every which way. Receiving, rushing. This guy's scoring 2 touchdowns or more. It's like, what the fuck? You just can't run the ball. Like, he's not running the ball. It's weird. They can't run it, but he's seeing 7.5 targets a game. That's absurd for a running back. And they're going to throw to him, and you can't stop it. Like, he's so small, little to the ground. It's like Darren Sproles on crack. And that brings us to the 4th spot, the Seahawks game, where we go back to where we started. Germany, baby. You speak as Deutsch? That's all I know, bro, or Oompa or some crap like that. But we're not here to give you German lessons. We're here to give you football picks. And my guy with his last spot on the day is going to go to a guy probably I've seen him use quite a bit. Who you on?
Yeah, man, we're on DK Metcalf. DK is about to put up some 2K numbers here. Yardage totals haven't really been that impressive this year, but this number is low. Metcalf has had 5 or more catches in 6 out of 9 games so far this season. Scoring in back-to-back weeks. Seems like DK Metcalf can keep the ball rolling here in Germany, and this is where the stars shine. Last week, we called out Lockett. Lockett had a good day. 67 receiving yards. He went over. So we're going to flip-flop this week, and we're going to take DK, man. We're going to be the Seattle Whisperers here.
Dude, all of a sudden, you are the Seattle Whisperers. You're the first one to talk Kenneth Walker. Tell you that. Now you got freaking calling out Lockett. If you hit this one, bro, you are the Seattle Whisperer. And the rookie freaking wide receiver whisperer. And the NFL prop whisperer. If you know, you should know. Go follow my man at Billy_Briz, the number 1 leader in Pub Sports Radio's Pub Hub, and pretty much was the leader pretty much all of last year. Low volume bets that put money in our pocket. Go follow this man. You ain't got to follow me. Follow him. He's the one who's been murking football this year. So go get in line. And where can they find you? If on other channel, on your other platform. I don't know your fucking Instagram. And what do you got planned this weekend?
There's only one channel you can find this content. Pub Sports Radio. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. At Getting Bills on Twitter. Catch me on the NBA Pub Hub show at 4 o'clock Eastern. And tomorrow, the grand poobah of events. Get your cards ready. Get your money ready. Get your credit cards ready. Pay-per-view event, UFC card tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in. See you, boys. I'm out, Jay.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you for coming, as always. Well, we're going to hit a quick commercial and come back with Big Show's pick play of the day. Wonder what we're going to get. Last week, that bitch cashed in the first quarter, so someone's rolling hot. I'm over here dancing in the background and shit. I'm Sharpie's Bets. I'm bringing you guys my guy, the guy that's just been murking props and ladders, but the props are just not out there today, so we're not going to hit ladders. We're going to talk play of the day. But before we do, how are you doing today, Big Show motherfucking picks?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Sharpie. I tried to get you guys a ladder play for the week. They're just not giving out them Saints props, but, well, stay tuned on Pub Sports Radio Saturday night and check my Twitter. You might get one out on there.
Check his Twitter. He will post it. You know he will. He is the man who's known for making ladders great again. Shout out to the chat. Appreciate everybody in here. If you haven't, if you like what you're hearing, hit that thumbs up. If you don't like what you're hearing, DM me and tell me what you don't like, and I'll probably tell you to beep off. But hey, opinions are like a-holes. Everybody has one. Shout out to the two new guys, Galactic High Occupancy. Appreciate you guys for becoming new members. We appreciate everybody. And if you are looking to become a member, go over there, hit that join button right underneath you. Go over there, look to donate, and the join button membership will pop up. $4.99 a month, 18 cents a day, and more perks will be added. So until then, let's talk football. Let's get back into what this show's all about. What are you looking at for your play of the day?
My prize pick play of the week, Sharpie, is going to be something similar to what you picked. You picked Saquon Barkley over 19.5 fantasy points too. Basically, I'm going to say the same thing that you were. We're going against Houston here, so I'm not really scared of the opponent. They're ranked 29th overall and 31st in the rushing attack. And I'm trying to just combine. I'm really just trying to combine Saquon Barkley for everything. I'm going to take his receiving yards that you liked, his rushing yards that you liked. I didn't like the 93.5 rushing yards. I was going to put them both up here, but I'm just going to combine them all together, take the touchdown upside, and parlay it all together with 19.5 fantasy points.
Well, if it helps you anything like that, like, because you're the one who told me this was your play of the day before I said, God dang it, I wanted this as my play of the day. And he goes, well, isn't it a good thing? I says, yes, but I have to talk about something else when it's just me and you. But his fantasy score, like you said, it's just there's so many ways this man can eat. And last week, his yards were high, and he didn't hit his yards. I know that because he's my fantasy running back, and they did not run the ball. They ran the ball one time on their first 3 drives, went 3 and out every freaking drive, and then they decided to use Saquon. And Saquon has had 20-plus carries in 3 straight games. You give him 20-plus carries versus this team, he busts at least one 40-yarder to the house. Like, that's what Saquon Barkley does. You know?
Yeah, I mean, he's getting at least 14. I mean, at least 14 and probably 3 receptions on the same side. So I'm just, like you said, combine them all together. Don't worry about one side hitting it. Don't worry about your rushing getting 83 yards and receiving getting, 70-some yards. Combine them all together. Take the touchdown upside. Saquon Barkley over 19.5.
I love it. And that brings me into my favorite play, which was that, but I can definitely go to another one that is just too freaking low. Let's go talk David Montgomery right quick. Fantasy score over 9.5. And I know my man Billy Briz was like, it's because of Fields. Fields is the reason why this guy's going to get into the damn end zone. You're going to think he's going to run it, and they're going to hand it off. This guy's freaking cashing 9.5 points, guys, by halftime. Mark my words. He has 12 or more carries in 5 straight games while scoring a touchdown in 2 of the 5 games. He's only been he's been a piece of the passing game as well. He's gone 1 game without a catch in all of his games. And then we get the Lions. The Lions, 32nd in total yards, 31st versus the rush, and 32nd in points allowed. This should be a shootout. 2 bad defenses. And if you're looking DraftKings, FanDuels, look to load up both sides. They should both have some fun in this spot because this will be offense is the name of the game because defense, not so much. But yeah, that's the spot I'm going to have to go with for my play of the day. Any last words for these fellas before we hit on out the road, my guy Big Show, and where can they find you?
You can find me over at Big Show Picks on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm not for all the Detroit hate the past couple of days up on these shows, man. Like, didn't beating the MVP from last year say anything? Both them stud wide or running backs too only got 6 fantasy points.
They stopped running the ball.
Hey,
Aaron Jones was hurt. He didn't come in the game the second half.
yeah, I'm just saying.
Worst
rushing attack, and that's what they give up is the worst rushing.
Hey, I'm gonna attack them and I'm gonna beat them blind.
Hey, we beat the MVP.
Stop a running quarterback. Hey, is that MVP and MVP this year?
I don't care. Reigning MVP is still the fucking champion at this point.
I'm so mad that he ran for 40 yards. I'm still distraught. But enough of that, guys. Who cares? I appreciate you all from tuning in. Like I said, if you appreciate the content, hit that thumbs up. Go on over to Prize Picks. Use that promo code PubSports. Your first deposit, they will match deposit it up to 100, minimum of 25. Do us a favor. Use that promo code. It helps more than you know. Until next time, I'm Sharpie's Bets. This is the good, the bad, and the money, and we do the prop game right.
We be pubbing.